Hello everyone, and welcome to session one of CHCLEG001, work legally and ethically. My name is Cheyenne, and I'll be your trainer for this session today. This unit is an essential part of understanding how we, as professionals, can navigate the legal and ethical framework that guide our work. Now, it's not just about following the rules, it's also about ensuring that our practices align with the values and principles that protect the rights, dignity, and safety of the individuals that we support. So we'll be looking at the foundations of working legally and ethically. By the end of week 3, you'll have a better understanding of the legal responsibilities and obligations relevant to your role in this term, specifically in youth work. Um, the importance of ethical decision making and how these two areas intersect in real world scenarios. We'll take a closer look during our live sessions at key concepts, including duty of care, privacy and confidentiality, and ethical principles such as respect, integrity, and accountability. Before we continue, I just want to show recognition for the first inhabitants of our land. So, in the spirit of reconciliation, Hatt Institute of Education acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connection to land, sea, and community. We recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first inhabitants of this nation and the traditional custodians of the land on which we work, live, and study. We express our gratitude for the sharing of this land, our sorrows for the personal, spiritual, and cultural cost of that sharing, and hope that we may move forward together in harmony and in the spirit of healing. We pay our respects to all First Nations people and acknowledge elders past, present, and emerging. Okay, so session one. So by the end of today's session, I hope that you guys will have a clear understanding of the following on the screen. So where to find legal and ethical information relevant to your role, key aspects of the National Disability Insurance Scheme, NDIS, the rights and responsibilities of workers, employers, and clients, the principles of privacy, confidentiality, and disclosure, and the importance of informed consent in professional practice. These topics are foundational to your role and will empower you to make informed decisions, respect client rights, and uphold professional integrity. So throughout this session, we will explore practical examples and case studies during our live session as well, to help connect these concepts to your day-to-day work in the field of youth work. So I encourage you to actively participate during our live sessions, ask questions, and share your insights as we go along as well during our live sessions. Now that we've introduced, now that I've introduced the concept of working legally and ethically, let's take a closer look at the foundational components that guide and influence our professional practice. These components provide the structure and standards that ensure we not only comply with legal obligations, but also maintain high ethical standards in everything that we do. The visual on your screen outlines the 4 critical pillars of legal and ethical work: legislation, code of conducts, industry standards, and policies and procedures. So the first pillar is legislation. So in Australia, legislation is the process of creating and enacting laws, and these laws form the backbone of our legal obligations. They are the non-negotiables and apply universally across various industries. As professionals, it's our responsibility to understand and to comply with legislation that is directly relevant to your role. So legislations may include or will include the WHS legislation, so the workplace health and safety, the privacy legislation, such as the Privacy Act. Legislations help protect everyone involved, workers, clients, and also the employers. They do this by establishing clear boundaries and expectations. The next pillar is industry standards. These are established by peak bodies within specific industries to ensure quality and consistency across the sector. So when it comes to industry standards, think of them as the benchmark for best practices. They often focus on accreditation, compliance to ensure that the service meets the expectations of clients and the community. Next, we have code of conduct. So unlike legislation or industry standards, code of conducts are created by individual organizations or governing bodies to establish clear expectations for behavior and professionalism. Now, these codes outline how employees should act in their roles and set the tone for ethical practice within an organization. Finally, we have policies and procedures, which are perhaps the most practical and immediate of these components. Policies and procedures are the step-by-step guidelines that inform how we can carry out our daily tasks. They designed to ensure consistency, compliance, and safety in the workplace. Now, these four components, legislation, industry standards, code of conduct, and policies and procedures, work together to create a strong foundation for our work. They not only protect us as professionals, but also ensure the rights, dignity, and safety of the people that we support. So, as we continue talking about working legally and ethically, it is also important to understand where we can access the information needed to guide our professional practice. In every workplace, there are key sources of legal and ethical information that will help you remain compliant with laws and regulations while ensuring you meet organizational standards. Now, let's explore some of these sources in detail. At the center of the diagram, you'll see the focus on information, the vital knowledge that informs our decisions and actions. Surrounding this are several sources where you can access legal workplace related information, such as policies and procedures. So every organization has its own set of policies and procedures. These documents outline the processes and expectations for how work should be carried out. Code of conduct is a formal document provided by most organizations that set out the standard for behavior in the workplace, like we spoke about in the last slide. The Fair Work Information Statement is a document that is provided under the Fair Work Act 2009. It outlines employer rights and entitlements in Australia. The employment contract and employment contracts. So this is a legally binding document that outlines the terms and conditions of your employment. Awards and enterprise agreements set out the minimum conditions of employment for workers in specific industries or roles. Your organization's HR, human resources team, is an essential resource for workplace information as well. Union representatives represent the interests of workers and provide advice, support, and advocacy on workplace issues. Professional development opportunities such as training sessions and workshops are invaluable for staying up to date with changes in legislations and industry standards. So each of these sources play a crucial role in ensuring you have the access to the legal and ethical information you need to perform your job effectively. In order to work legally and ethically, it's essential to understand where we can access reliable, accurate legal information as well federally. At the federal level, there are a number of key agencies and departments that provide guidance and resources on legal obligations and ethical standards in Australia, such as the Fair Work Ombudsman, which is a vital source for understanding workplace rights and responsibilities, things like minimum wage, leave entitlements, dismissals, and workplace disputes. Next is the Australian Human Rights Commission, which promotes and protects human rights across Australia. They cover things like discrimination, harassment, and equal opportunity. The Attorney General Department plays a critical role in shaping policies related to human rights. They work to ensure that Australia meets its international obligations. Job Access focuses on supporting individuals with disabilities to find and maintain employment. The Office of the Australian Information Commissioner oversees privacy laws in Australia. They provide guidance on data protection, handling sensitive information, and responding to privacy breaches. The Department of Health provides essential guidance on healthcare policies. The Department of Veteran Affairs offers services and support for veterans. They provide resources such as employment, mental health services, and other programs. The Fair Work Commission is one of the key organisations ensuring fair and equitable workplace conditions in Australia. As a national workplace relations tribunal, it plays a vital role in setting standards, resolving disputes, and protecting the rights of workers. The foundation of the Fair Work Commission's work is the Fair Work Act of 2009. So this legislation establishes the rules and standards for workplace relations in Australia. It provides legal frameworks that govern employment conditions, rights and responsibilities of employers and employees, and how disputes in the workplace should be resolved. The National Employment Standards, NES, are a key feature of the Fair Work Act. These are 10 minimum standards that apply to most employees in Australia. They cover fundamental rights such as maximum weekly working hours, annual leave and personal leave entitlements, parental leave, and also notice of termination and redundancy pays. Modern awards are another critical area managed by the Fair Work Commission. So these are legally binding documents that outline the minimum pay rates and employment conditions for specific industries or occupations. For example, the hospitality workers are covered by the Hospitality Industry Award, for example. The national minimum wage is the absolute minimum amount that employers must pay their employees. The Fair Work Commission reviews and sets the amount annually, ensuring that it reflects the cost of living and the economic conditions. For workers not covered by an award or agreement, the national minimum wage provides a safety net of basic pay. As you can see down the bottom there, the Fair Work Commission's website. This is a fantastic resource for understanding your rights and responsibilities, accessing tools like pay calculators, and getting advice on workplace issues or disputes. So this is a video about the Fair Work Act. Like I've stated before in our other recorded sessions and our live sessions, there are going to be a lot of videos that come up that we cannot play during our recorded sessions. However, these links will be sent out to you guys in an email. So when you do get them, we highly encourage you guys to watch them if you have time. It'll just give you a little bit more information and further your knowledge and understanding of what we are talking about. Okay, privacy and confidentiality. Now, these are critical components of ethical practice in any workplace. particularly in roles that involve managing sensitive personal and health information. As professionals, we must understand and adhere to privacy laws in Australia to protect the rights of individuals and maintain their trust. Let's explore the key aspects now of privacy confidentiality. So, privacy laws in Australia are govern how we collect, store, and share personal and health information. These laws are designed to protect individuals from unauthorized use or disclosure of their data. In Australia, the Privacy Act 1988 is the key legislation that outlines these protections and establishes principles for managing personal information. Health information includes any data related to an individual's physical or mental health. Personal information refers to broader details such as names, address, and contact information. Justified disclosure is so while maintaining confidentiality is important, there are instances where disclosure of information is justified. For example, mandatory reporting, client confidence, as well is very important. So maintaining client confidence is essential to build trust and fostering positive relationships. These include things like breach of duty of confidence, remedies for privacy breaches as well. So privacy and confidentiality are not just about following the laws, they are also about respecting the rights and dignity of the people that we support. By understanding privacy laws and adhering to the best practice, we can ensure to protect sensitive information, build trust with clients, and navigate complex situations where justified disclosure is necessary. Privacy laws in Australia not only operate at the federal level, but are also supported by the state and territories' specific agencies. Now, these agencies ensure that the laws locally are enforced and provide additional support for people and businesses in managing privacy and health records concerns. Now, let's go through the key state and territory bodies that govern or oversee privacy and health record management. So, the ACT Information Privacy Commissioner, in the Australian Capital Territory, the Information Privacy Commissioner oversees privacy compliance and assists with any privacy-related concerns under the Information Privacy Act 2014. In New South Wales, the Information Privacy Commission plays a critical role in steering privacy laws, such as the Privacy and Personal Information Protection Act of 1988 and the Health Records Information Privacy Act of 2002. The Office of the Information Commissioner in the Northern Territory administers the Information Act of 2002. Queensland's Office of the Information Commissioner oversees privacy laws, including the Information Privacy Act. The South Australia's Privacy Committee monitors compliance with privacy principles. The Ombudsman Tasmania handles privacy complaints under the Personal Information Protection Act 2004. Victoria's Office of the Victorian Information Commissioner oversees the Privacy and Data Protection Act. And in Western Australia, the Office of the Information Commission administers privacy laws and ensures public sector organisations comply with the state's Freedom of Information Act. Hey, privacy is an essential component of ethical practice, and in Australia, the National Privacy Principles provide a framework for managing personal information in a more responsible way. These principles, established under the Privacy Act of 1988, outline how organisations must handle, store, and also use personal information to protect individuals' rights. Now, let's break these principles down to understand the importance of practical application. Collection. Now, this principle governs how personal information is collected. Access and security. So access to personal information must be controlled and secure. This includes ensuring only authorized individuals can access sensitive data and also implementing security protocols to protect information. Next is use and disclosure. So organizations can only use or disclose personal information for the purpose for which it was collected, unless the individual consents to its use for other purposes or it requires or authorized by law. Identifiers. So this principle protects unique identifiers such as tax file numbers or Centrelink reference numbers. Data quality. Organizations must ensure the data they hold is accurate, complete, and also up to date. Anonymity. So wherever possible, individuals should have the option to interact with organizations anonymously. Data security. Organizations must take reasonable steps to protect personal information from security breaches, such as things like implementing encryptions or regularly updating security measures. Trans-border data flow. So this principle addresses the movement of data across state or national borders. Openness. So organizations must be transparent about how they manage personal information. Change in circumstance. If there are any changes to an individual circumstance, such as name or address, organizations must ensure that their records are updated to reflect these changes accurately. The national privacy principles are not just theoretical, they are essential guidelines that ensure personal information is managed responsibly and ethically. Okay, informed consent. Now, this is one of the most fundamental principles in any profession that involves interacting with individuals, especially when collecting personal or sensitive information or making decisions that impact their lives. But what exactly does informed consent mean and why is it so important? In simple terms, informed consent is a process through which individuals are provided with all the necessary information to make an informed decision about their participation in a service, treatment, or activity. This means providing clear information, ensuring voluntary agreement, ongoing process, so consent isn't a one-time event. Informed consent is essential because it respects the individual's rights, builds trust between the professional and the individual, ensures ethical and legal compliance and practice. To ensure informed consent is valid, it must include things like capacity, disclosure, comprehension, voluntariness, and for example, let's consider if you're working in a disability support role and need to collect sensitive health information from a client, you would clearly explain what the information is being collected and how it will be used and who will have access to it. Ensure the client understands this and consents without any pressure, and also document the consent process for accountability. Freedom of information, so often referred to as FOI, is a crucial component of transparency and accountability in government and public services. It ensures that individuals have the right to access information held by public institutions. So freedom of information laws allow individuals to request access to documents and information held by the government agencies and public organizations. These laws ensure that the actions, decisions, and policies of public bodies are open to scrutiny. In Australia, the FOI laws exist at both the federal and state levels. For example, in Victoria, individuals can make FOI requests through the Office of the Victorian Information Commissioner, as highlighted in this slide and when we spoke about a few slides ago. The freedom of information is important because it promotes things like, or it upholds principles like transparency and accountability, empowerment, informed participation. How does this work for individuals? So individuals can submit a formal request to the relevant government agency. This request should specify the information or document that they seek. Understanding your rights is a fundamental component to ensure that you receive fair, safe, and respectful treatment, especially in healthcare and support services. The Australian Charter of Healthcare Rights outlines the rights every individual is entitled to when accessing healthcare in Australia. So let's look at these rights and what they mean and why they are so important. Now, healthcare rights are designed to ensure that every individual accessing healthcare services is treated with respect, dignity, and fairness. These rights apply across all healthcare settings, whether it's hospitals, clinics, aged care facilities, or community support services. The Australian Charter of Healthcare Rights includes 7 fundamental rights, which include access, safety, respect, partnership, information, privacy, and giving feedback. These rights empower individuals to actively participate in their care and hold healthcare providers accountable for delivering quality service. These are important because knowing your rights enables individuals to advocate for themselves or others in healthcare settings. It also upholds that these rights fosters trust between individuals and healthcare providers. It's also important because these rights ensure that healthcare services are fair, accessible, and inclusive for all. The National Disability Insurance Scheme, or NDIS, is a transformative program in Australia that provides support to people with disabilities. It is designed to ensure that individuals living with disability have access to the services and resources they need to live fulfilling, independent, and inclusive lives. Let's have a deeper look into this and what the NDIS is. The NDIS is a national initiative established to provide funding and support for Australians living with a permanent and significant disability. It is designed to empower individuals with disabilities, promote inclusion, provide tailored support that meets the unique needs. It replaces previous disability support systems with a more individualized and flexible approach. To access the NDIS, individuals must meet the specific criteria. Things like age, residency, disability is considered. Um, so each participant receives a customized plan based on their goal, needs, and circumstance. These plans outline the types of support they will receive. The NDIS provides funding for supports and services that help participants achieve their goals. These might include therapy and rehabilitation, assistive technology, home modifications, and community access programs. NDIS promotes other principles that align with the trauma-informed care as well, things like choice and control, empowerment, inclusion. It's also puts a lot of importance over tailored support. So every participant needs are unique, and NDIS ensures they receive the specific support they require or they aim to. The National Standards for Disability Services provide a framework to ensure that disability services across Australia deliver high quality, person-centered support. These standards promote the rights of people with disabilities, focusing on outcomes that empower individuals to live meaningful and inclusive lives. So let's look at the 6 national standards that you can see on the screen. So rights. So this standard emphasizes that people with disability have the same human rights as everyone else. And services must promote and uphold dignity, protect the safety and well-being, ensure individuals are treated with respect and free from discrimination. Participation and inclusion. So this then ensures individuals can take part in the community and social life. Services should support individuals in building and maintaining a relationship and so on. Next is individual outcome. So focus on person-centered support. The standard ensures that services align with the goals and aspirations of the individuals and also support the tailored, unique plan for the individual. Feedback and complaint. So this standard ensures individuals can provide feedback or make complaints about the service they receive. Service access, so this standard promotes equitable access to services, ensuring things like entry processes are fair, consistent, and transparent. And final standard focuses on the effective and efficient management of disability services, which is service management. It includes maintaining quality assurance processes and ensuring staff are trained and supported as well. As professionals, understanding and implementing these standards in your practice is key. For example, it's important to consider things like advocating for individuals to make their own decisions and actively seek feedback and use it to enhance your service. Now, let's look at the 6 national standards a little bit more. So this is an activity we'll do. We'll leave this. I was going to talk about the standards a little bit more with some examples, but we'll save this for our live session that will be tonight. Okay, disability organisations. Now, these organisations play an important role in advocating for the rights of people with disabilities, providing support services and promoting inclusion and equality. These organisations operate across various levels, addressing diverse needs and ensuring that these are their voices of the people they serve with disabilities are heard. Let's have a look at some of the key organisations in Australia and the vital work that they do. So the first one there is the National Disability Service. So we've spoken about this is the NDIS. It's just, yep. So we've spoken about the NDIS. Let's go on to People with Disability Australia. So the PWDA is a national organisation run by and for people with disabilities, advocates for human rights of individuals with disabilities and provides resources to empower them in their daily lives. There's also the first People's Disability Network Australia. This organisation represents people from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. Then we have the National Ethnic Disability Alliance. NEDA is the peak organisation advocating for people with disability from cultural and linguistically diverse backgrounds. Women with Disabilities Australia. So this is an organisation supports women with disabilities. Children and Young People with Disability Australia. Now, these organisations are very important because they provide essentials like advocacy, support services, inclusion, make sure they're inclusive. So in your role, you may engage with one or more of these organisations to access resources for individuals with disabilities, collaborate on advocacy initiatives, or seek support for addressing systematic or individual challenges. Duty of care is a fundamental concept in many professions, particularly in roles where we are responsible for the safety and well-being of other people. It is both a legal and moral obligation to take all reasonable steps to prevent harm to those in our care or those affected by our actions. So duty of care is a legal or moral responsibility to protect the safety and well-being of others and to take reasonable steps to avoid causing foreseeable harm to individuals or their property. The key principles of duty of care is care, comply, so follow all relevant policies and procedures and legal requirements, and to cooperate, so work collaboratively with other people to ensure that safety and security is paramount. Examples of duty of care in practice in the work are in the workplace, identifying and addressing hazards. In disability services, might be supporting individuals to leave safely, and in daily interactions, communicating respectfully and ensuring actions do not unintentionally cause harm. Failing to uphold duty of care can also lead to legal consequences, damage to professional relationships and reputation, harm to individuals that could have been prevented. While duty of care requires taking steps to prevent harm, it's important to balance these responsibilities, respecting the rights and autonomy of individuals as well. Okay, so let's talk about reasonable care. Now, reasonable care involves acting within the scope of your expertise and training, taking steps to prevent foreseeable harm, and balancing risk and responsibilities in a way that an ordinary person would consider appropriate. What's considered reasonable depends on several factors, which we'll look at. Factors influencing reasonable care are the worker's experience. So a more experienced worker may be held to higher standards due to expertise, the training, so the level of top training someone has received, qualifications, so professional qualifications set the benchmark for expected knowledge and skills. And also the age and capacity of the person receiving care. The vulnerability of the person receiving care also matters. For example, children require additional protection due to their age and dependency. The idea of reasonableness is not about perfection, but about what an average competent worker would do in similar circumstances. Okay, so let's continue to explore the concept of duty of care. It's important to understand how the responsibilities vary depending on the person's role and scope within an organization. Um, so let's look at the higher responsibility within increased authority, supervisory roles. When you are in a supervisory role or managerial position, your duty of care extends beyond your immediate tasks. You're responsible not only for your actions, but also for ensuring that others your understand the policies and procedures also, and you also have direct supervision to make sure others are performing their roles safely and effectively. Extending duty of care to others. So duty of care isn't limited to clients, it also extends to colleagues, visitors, children and families of clients as well. For example, in a child service setting, workers must ensure the safety of not only the children in the care, but also the parents or guardians during interactions at the facility. A essential aspect of duty care is recognizing their responsibility extends not only to others, but also to ourselves, like we just spoke about. As employees, we have a shared obligation to maintain a safe and healthy work environment. It's not just the managers and supervisors' responsibility to uphold duty of care. So your well-being is just as important as the well-being of others. It's important that you consider the following. So the following health and safety guidelines, recognizing the impact of your actions or inactions, and also speaking about concerns when you see them or you hear them. Duty of care of others. So when it comes to colleagues, we have to support your peers by maintaining a respectful and safe work environment. Um, Clients and visitors, we have to ensure their safety by following organizational protocols such as emergency procedures, creating culture of accountability to encourage an environment where everyone takes ownership of their role in maintaining health and safety. Okay, so while understanding and fulfilling your duty care is crucial, it is important to recognize the potential consequence of breaching this duty. Um, I want to highlight the serious outcomes that can arise when duty of care is not upheld. Impact on clients and organizations. So if a breach does occur, It could result in harm, injury, or even death to a client or individual in your care. It can lead to significant legal and ethical repercussions, both the individual staff member and the organization. Um, Legal and organizational implications can include lawsuits against the organization, personal consequences for staff members. This could involve disciplinary action, loss of employment, or even criminal charges. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the responsibilities of employers that they hold regarding the duty of care to employees. Employers are legally required to ensure safe and healthy work environment for their employees. This duty of care stems from both common law and work health and safety regulations. Employers, sorry, must take all reasonable steps to eliminate risks and hazards in the workplace. Um, Employers must demonstrate that they have actively taken steps to mitigate risks as well. Examples of such steps include implementing policies, conducting risk assessments, and fostering an open communication environment. Workplace health and safety regulations in Australia are critical for maintaining safe environments across different industries. Each state and territory has its own regulatory body to oversee and enforce WHO laws and provide guidance to employers and employees. So as you can see on your screen are the key WHS bodies across Australia. Okay, I think we've covered duty of care enough. So let's move on. Let's keep going. Okay, children in the workplace. So children in the workplace bring unique considerations, particularly when it comes to safety and compliance with WHS legislation. Here outlines critical factors that every workplace must adhere to when children are present. Some things that you have to consider: WHS legislation, policies and procedures around children, supervision. So the level of supervision provided should be appropriate to the child's age and developmental needs. Safety first, so the emotional, physical safety of the child. Mandatory reporting, so if you observe any signs of neglect or abuse in a child, it is mandatory to report this and immediately inform your supervisor. Ensuring a safe and supportive environment for children visiting a mental health facility is important, both for the child's well-being and the facility's smooth operations. Here you can see some key considerations and guidelines for such visits. So supervision at all times. So children must always be supervised. Visits should take place in areas designed to be family and child friendly. Visits are subject to strict time limits. Before the visit begins, the current mental and emotional state of the parent should be assessed. The child's developmental level and capacity to handle environments should be considered. A guardian, parent, or staff member must be present at all times. And the needs and current state of the client in the facility must also be factored in up before planning the visit. Okay, so this was a pretty big session, and just a quick recap. So we looked at sources of legal information, we looked at Fair Work Commission, we explored privacy laws in Australia, we discussed principles such as data collection, access security, data quality. We highlighted the importance of clear and transparent communication and obtaining consent. We focus on 6 standards when it came to the national standards for disability services. We defined in length what duty of care was and the legal or moral responsibilities to ensure safety and avoid harm. We reviewed state and territory WHS bodies as well. We looked at the need for supervision, child-friendly environments, and procedures to ensure safety and well-being in mental health facilities. Um, so I hope today's session reinforced the importance of legal compliance, ethical considerations, and practical application of laws and policies in various contexts. So that's the end of our session today. I'll see you guys during the live sessions. If you've got any questions, please email me or contact SLO. I'll see you guys next time. Good night.